So this is going to be a straight up no BS review, and what I mean by that is showing all my flawed riding and showing exactly who this bike is for and who will benefit from this bike and what the cross trainer has done for me actually on my very first ride. You see, there's a bunch of good riders out there and a lot of other cross trainer videos where they handle these machines like nothing. They are riding fast, make it look easy, but I'm going to give you a true realistic review of people like me.
Honestly, it improves my confidence just a little. This is a tiny play bike, but clearly skills definitely plays a big role on this.
On the timid, lower skilled side. Now, to understand this review, I have to say a few things about me. One, I'm about 240 pounds, fully geared with water and everything, and I'm about 6'1". So why did I pick the Beta cross trainer? Well, plain and simple. My skills and riding confidence, I would say, went away. I was too timid to do this trail on my KTM 250 due to its tall seat height. Now, there are a lot of taller riders out there who want the Beta cross trainer for this same exact reason, confidence, and kind of to use it like a cheat bike. Sure, many of us can hop on a KTM for faster going trails, but we want kind of like a cheat bike on places where we can easily manipulate and straddle a bike. And hands down, that is exactly what the cross trainer is. A little bit of my history though is my confidence was a lot better back then, but I haven't ridden this kind of terrain in almost 3 years because I've been extremely busy with my business, unfortunately.
I'm just trying to build that up all over again.
I tried this terrain the other day on my KTM and I had a very hard time. My confidence literally went down the drain and I didn't expect that. I completely forgot how the bike was going to behave rolling through these rocks, and I had to relearn everything all over again.
The Beta cross trainers, honestly, it's great. It is in this kind of rocky terrain here. It's giving me a lot of confidence to kind of roll through these rocks. You know, just because as I'm rolling, I know I can put my feet down, and as I'm riding, I literally have, for the most part, have my feet. I'm starting to stand up a little bit more. I guess my body is slowly remembering how to ride this stuff again. I'm out here 3 years later. It's my second time on this.
Now, I do have a little bit of a smaller inseam than most men. I have a longer torso and longer arms. When I was in martial arts, that was actually my strength. I had a long arm reach. So although I'm 6'1", I still struggle with the tall seat. Even putting my leg up is a little bit of a mission for me. But to show you where I am coming from, I used to do this trail with no problems at all on the KTMs. I took it down a trail called Independence Trail, and it was a tough ride. It was hard. My confidence was not there on the KTM. Well, that is when the cross trainer came into play, and I believe this will be a perfect review because of my past.
If I was my T250i, I'll probably go around this way, but being on the cross trainer, I feel confident to do right in the middle. I mean, these are big rocks, they look small on camera. It's just the fact, you know, that I can flat foot. I don't do it cleanly, of course, but...
So now I can explain it firsthand, what I feel. Now, the cross trainer is like a secret weapon for me to get your confidence back up. It's going to make transitioning into a taller bike much easier and quicker. And honestly, that's the best way I can explain it. In a way, because this bike is like a cheat code too. Now here's the issue with this kind of terrain and a tall seat. On video, these rocks, they're not going to look large. But they are. A lot of these trails and these rocks, as you're rolling through them, you just can't put your feet down. And as you're learning this terrain, a lot of times you're not going to roll through these rock fields. You're going to stop, put your feet down, and try to crawl your way out of it. You're trying to figure out what your bike is going to do, how it's going to behave. And honestly, this is all normal. We're trying to learn how the bike behaves and adapt to it. The next time when you encounter a similar surface or obstacle, you will adapt to it much easier. Perfect example, some of these drop downs. I used to do it all the time, but fast forward a few years later, and I have no idea if I'm actually going to go over the handlebars because I lost the feeling. Well, here comes the Beta Xtrainer, and hands down I can tell you this bike made a huge difference for me in the confidence department. Now with this terrain, the key is, yes, to stand up, look ahead, roll through these rocks, and yes, of course, this bike will do it no problem. And at times, you just have to go for it. And I'm going to tell you firsthand that it's very difficult to roll through these rocks with confidence when you're first learning this terrain, or for me, as I'm relearning it, especially standing up. Now honestly, the Beta Xtrainer actually made this a lot easier for me. Just 2 hours into the terrain, I started to look a little bit more ahead. I started to roll through these rocks a little bit more comfortably, and that was within the 2-hour mark, I would say. On my second ride, my confidence to barrel through these rocks was a lot easier because of the Xtrainer. It's very hard to explain until you start riding a bit of the technical stuff, but because I used to ride this trail with huge confidence back then, I honestly think the Beta Xtrainer is allowing me to relearn this terrain a lot faster versus I was on my KTM. As I'm barreling through these rocks, I'm forcing myself to somewhat keep a steady momentum because I know I can catch myself on the Xtrainer versus the KTM. There's a lot of off-camber areas where you just can't put your feet down, but on the Xtrainer, a lot more of these areas do open up to catch myself. So in other words, the Xtrainer is allowing me to learn this terrain at a quicker pace than the KTM, I would say. Or in this case, bring my confidence much higher until I'm ready to honestly just ride through this terrain standing up. There was a few areas where I was able to stand up, but it was kind of hard to still stand up all the way through because my confidence is not there yet, and I kind of just catch myself, I get timid, and then I just kind of sit back down again. But there are some other things I wanted to bring up. At 6'1", the Xtrainer feels great in this terrain. It fits just like a glove. However, if I do bring it out of this territory into faster paced, choppy terrain, my confidence actually goes away to ride fast, and I want to be back on the KTM again. The Xtrainer really is at home on this gnarly, slow-going terrain. It transforms itself. It's like it doesn't feel crammed whatsoever on this technical terrain, but the instance I take it out on this faster, choppier terrain, that's when I start feeling a little bit more crammed and kind of wishing I was back on the KTM. Now, take this with a grain of salt, but I bought this Xtrainer used, and I believe the suspensions were modified to suit his weight, as he was a smaller guy. I also believe pushing my handlebars a bit forward would benefit me hugely. So I would say I need to add springs rated for a 240-pound geared rider and possibly just push my handlebars slightly forward. Then I can come back to this review on the faster stuff. But as far as this slow, gnarly going terrain, the Xtrainer is my preferred bike. It's amazing on this kind of stuff. And sure, you might have to get used to it just a little bit, but I promise it won't take you that long. But in all honesty, I didn't buy this Xtrainer for the faster stuff. I bought it for the slow, gnarly, getting my confidence back up kind of terrain. And the Xtrainer, just on my first ride out with this bike, was natural. And I was extremely comfortable. Even on this video here, I honestly think I wouldn't have been chugging along with the KTM. I think I would have been stopping a lot more, trying to figure out my foot placement to make sure I don't tip over the bike. Sure, I eventually would have gotten there, but with the Xtrainer, you can see how quickly I picked it up, moving along. So men out there who are also 6 foot or a little bit on the taller side, I will say this bike is like a cheat code to ride in very harsh terrain, when you can easily manipulate the bike. But if your intentions is to ride on the faster stuff, so far based on my current setup, and what I mean by that is I'll have to make another review when I add the proper springs for my weight and change out the handlebars to a more forward position, then come back to see if I can ride the faster stuff as quick as my KTM 250. But other than that, even the low end grunt second gear, I was able to chug up this stuff at an uphill momentum, barely giving it no clutch whatsoever. I can only imagine just adding a recluse to this bike is cheating. But anyways guys, this is my first review on the Beta Xtrainer. It's a quick review on my confidence and what has done for me so far. So be sure to subscribe. I'll be riding with the Xtrainer a lot more and try to provide as much insight as I can.